guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Great, aka Educated Farmer. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys things you should know before starting a grasscutter farm. So if you're stopping by this channel for the first time, please don't forget to hit on the subscription button and also turn on your post notification bell, so whenever I post a new video, you're going to be the first to get notified. And to my returning subscribers, gracias. Grasscutter farming is one of the easiest livestock farming in Nigeria to venture into, and it is highly profitable. It is easy to maintain, the animals are easy to feed, and grasscutter farming is not time consuming. Some of the things you should know or have in mind before starting a grasscutter farm are: 1. The grasscutter house. The house of the grasscutter has to be structured properly to prevent cold from getting to these animals. Have in mind that cold is the fastest thing that kills these animals. So when you erect a structure for your grasscutter farm, ensure that there are enough light bulbs to produce heat during the evenings and in the early hours of the morning. The type of bulb you need to install in the grasscutter house is the bulb that produces heat. Then you can also have something like a trampoline to cover the structure. During the late evenings and early hours of the morning, this trampoline will be dropped down. And then when the weather is hot, the trampoline should be rolled up for cross ventilation. All this is to ensure that the grasscutters are free from cold. When it comes to grasscutter farming, you can decide to ignore anything. But when it comes to the cold aspect of it, please do not ignore, because if you do, that could cost you a very great loss when it comes to grasscutter farming. So however you decide to structure your grasscutter house, make sure that there is enough materials producing heat to these animals towards the evening time and the early hours of the morning. The second thing I'm going to talk about is their feed. Now, the main feed for grasscutter is actually grass. Elephant grass, Guinea grass. But they prefer the elephant grass to the Guinea grass. Now you can feed them other things like concentrate, corn husk, pineapple stalk, cassava stem, and the cassava fruit itself. But the main reason why I'm talking about the grasscutter feed is because of cassava. You're rearing these grasscutters so they can produce and you can sell off to the market. Cassava has its advantage and it also has its disadvantages on the animals. If you feed your animals cassava, they will grow very big, but they will not be able to produce. It's better you give these cassavas to these animals once in a while, or don't even give it to them at all until they've produced severally for you and you have enough to sell to the market. Then when you want to resell these animals to the main market for bushmeat or something, you can feed them these cassavas so they can grow big and you can sell to the market. But situation whereby you're still keeping these grasscutters for production purpose, please limit the amount of cassavas you give to these grasscutters. If possible, remove cassava from their feed. But if you want them to be a bit big, then you can give them these cassavas maybe once in a week or once in 2 weeks. But do not make it a regular feed for the animal so they don't grow big and end up not producing any children or litters that you can sell. Another thing you should keep in mind is their vaccination. Unlike other animals that you rear, you don't vaccinate grasscutters the way you vaccinate other animals. The best vaccine I always recommend for grasscutter farming is Neotrates because it contains vitamins and antibiotics. You can check my video on grasscutter farming to actually see the vaccine. Now, how do you administer this vaccine to the grasscutters? Like I earlier stated, cold is the fastest thing that kills these animals. So when these animals are cold, you notice that they start producing a whitish substance. At that point, you can administer this vaccine to them through their water or through their feed. Now, the feed is mostly the concentrate because when you give them concentrate, you add little water to make it moist so they can eat it easily and the concentrate will not get into their nostrils. So at that point, the water you use in mixing the feed, you can add the vaccine to it and give to the animals. Now, when you administer this vaccine to them, you have to do it like 2-3 days. After that period, you notice that the whitish substance disappears. But if you decide to not do anything about it that period, you could end up losing your grasscutters. The second instance where you can administer this vaccine to the animals is when they are not eating properly. Like I said, this vaccine contains vitamins, so you can administer this vaccine to the animals to boost the way they eat. Another instance where you can administer this vaccine to the animals is when you notice any sluggish behavior, like it's moving slowly, it's not active. In that instance, you can also administer the vaccine to the animal. The reason why you don't administer this vaccine to these animals all the time is so their system don't get used to it. so that when it's time for the vaccine to work on them, the vaccine can do its work properly. But a situation whereby the grasscutter system gets used to the vaccine, when you administer it to them, it does nothing. Another thing I'm going to talk about is getting the colony. A colony or a family of grasscutter is actually 4 females and 1 male. Ideally, I would always advise that you get 2 males and 3 females. The reason is because in a situation whereby you transport these animals to wherever you are, or even there in your farm, anything can happen. What if you lose that 1 male that you ordered for? So I would always advise that you tell whoever is bringing these grasscutters for you that you need 2 males and 3 females. In that way, if anything should happen to one of the male, you have another male that will be there to mate the females. So that's the best way to buy your grasscutter family: 2 males and 3 females. And with that, you're sure that if anything should happen to 1 male, you have 1 more male to be able to mate the females, and then reproduction can still take place. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the daily routine of those grasscutters. Like I earlier said, grasscutters are not time consuming. They are very easy to rear. In the morning, you go there, you clean the grasscutter house, you give them the forage in the morning. If you're giving them concentrates in the afternoon, you do that. In the evening, you go back to check if the forage you gave to them in the morning would be enough to sustain them to the next day. If it's enough, then you let them be, otherwise you get more forage. But have in mind that the forages you give to these animals should be fresh. Give them fresh forages. I hope these few things that I've talked about help you to achieve a successful grasscutter farm. Good luck.